Yeah, Monday. Welcome into SportsLine. I'm Eric Kuselias, and oh, baby, I got the big studio today. I'm all fired up. I got a blazer on. I'm feeling good. I got my bracket all filled out, and I have the single best plays that you can make. I'm talking about against the spread. I'm talking about over-under. I'm talking about the under on the money line. I have the 5-12 upset. And most importantly, I've got the Final Four, the national champion, and the absolute best people in the business to come on and crush this tournament with our bracket. So let's get to it. No time to waste. When I say best people, you think I'm kidding? Do you think I'm kidding? Who's the number one college basketball expert? Zach Cimini. They know. He walks in the door at night. His kids don't say, "Hi, Dad." They say, "Hi, number one." That's right. And then there's my guy. You know him. Tom Casale. How about 20-3 in his last 23 picks, and he's not number one? You know what we call that? Monday. That's what we do. All right, so let me get him in. Zach Cimini, Tom Casale. All right, against the spread, anywhere you want. You get one play, you walk to the window. What's your number one play against the spread? Thomas, you are first.
Yeah, I love the Drake. I think that's a great matchup for Drake. The Washington State, to me, is a team that is a good fade in this tournament. The Pac-12 was really down this year. They have trouble scoring. They depend on offensive rebounds a lot. Drake, the number one defensive rebounding team in the country. They shoot the three. They don't turn the ball over. I got Drake at +1.5 last night. Thought it would flip. It did. Drake, a small favorite. I still like him.
All right, I love, and you get extra points for the Seinfeld reference. Love the Drake, hate the Drake, all that stuff. Zach Cimini, you probably will go with a different game. What's your game?
Yeah, I'm going with Duquesne, now +9 against BYU. I think anytime you see rapid line movement on an underdog, as we've seen in this matchup, I'm going to go the other way against the line move here. Duquesne, their coach is going to step down after this tournament run. That's always an extra incentive. The team probably already knew this going into the Atlantic 10 tournament, where they won 8 straight games now, 9 of their last 10. They got it done in the A10 tournament with their defense. We know this is an underrated conference, usually a 1 or 2 bid league that devalues them in the tournament. We'll be seeing lower seeds make a run in this from this conference. VCU, Dayton, and the more recent team a couple of years ago in Richmond. In the Dukes, they have upperclassmen that can match BYU, Jimmy Clark III, Day Grant, and Kusini Drame, who has this experience from being on that St. Peter's run just 2 seasons ago. And the biggest factor for me is BYU. We know they can hit the three-point shot, ranked number 1 in college basketball in three-pointers made per game, 12 per game. But living and dying by that in the tournament play, it can be very, very dangerous. Give me the full 9 with Duquesne.
All right, I'm going with Yale, right? Plus the 12.5. Hear me out. I know there's not supposed to be flat spots in the NCAA tournament, except there are every year. And that's why we see like big upsets where teams kind of sleepwalk through and all that. Let me build you the anatomy of a flat spot. You are Auburn. You just played in a beautiful city in front of a packed house in your conference tournament, and you walloped everybody, and you won the SEC. You played a bunch of games in a bunch of days. You go back to the Plains. Everybody's congratulating you. You're feeling good. You're looking ahead. Oh, we're going to get UConn. We're going to get UConn. We're going to get UConn, right? You've been celebrating. And now, where are you going? You're getting on a plane, and you're going from Auburn, Alabama, to Spokane, Washington. Yeah, that's right. Spoka, Vegas, that kind of thing, to play who? The Ivy champs? All right, whatever. And now let's go to Yale. Best team in the Ivy League, along with Princeton, was dead to rights in the Ivy League final. Season was over. Seniors are done. And they pull it out against Brown, which offends me because I went to Brown and my kid goes to Brown, but whatever. They did it. They have to feel like new lease on life. This is their Super Bowl. These are smart kids. These kids have played in the tournament. They're well coached. They know how to work this tournament. They know how to prepare for this tournament. They are going to get out there and be so fired up. And I'm getting more than a dozen. Every box gets checked in my favor. Give me Yale plus the 12.5. All right. Give me the spread play that you like in this one. Zach, you're first. Go ahead. Give me your over-under.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Long Beach State versus U of A and go over the 160.5. And usually when you see this type of seed line matchup, you're worried about the underdog's ability to score here. But I'm not so with this Long Beach State team. Dan Munson, another coach that is going to be let go once this tournament run is over. They were on a 5-game losing streak, went on a big run to win that Big West tournament, and they have players that can score. Marcus Ahonis, he was a former Pac-12 player with Washington. He puts up 18 points per game in the interior. They're not related, but they have the same last name, Abubakar Traore and Lucina Traore, tough, hard-nosed players, and this is going to just be an up and down game. I think Arizona could still cover the spread, but we're going to see points from both sides here. This big total does not worry me at 160.5. I think it clears by double digits.
All right, we're talking about totals, obviously. So, Tom, anywhere, over, under, what's your best total?
I went with James Madison, Wisconsin, over 144.5. I don't play a ton of totals, but I saw this number open and I thought it was low. I think it'll close around 146.5. So Wisconsin on paper still plays slow, but they've shown in the last month especially that they'll pick up the pace if they need to. James Madison is one of the fastest tempo teams in college basketball. They love to push the pace. They shoot a ton of threes, and Wisconsin's weak against the three. So I think there's an edge there. The first 10 minutes of this game will be key. If James Madison's pushing the pace and scoring, we're good. If Wisconsin gets up 19-8, they might turtle up. But I do think the pace will be fast here. And I think this is a exciting first-round game that's going to be played in the 70s. So I'm going over 144.5.
I'm going to get to that game coming up in just a minute. But my total, I mean, I looked at the Creighton-Akron total over. I mean, I tried to find an under. I couldn't really find one that just jumped out at me. I like playing unders more than overs. The Creighton number jumped out at me, but the number I like the Baylor-Colgate game over. Couple of things. Colgate will let you get loose, and they've played a bunch of Power 5 and good teams. And every once in a while, they played Arizona. They played Syracuse. They played tournament teams. They played Yale. They played Vermont, who's in the tournament. And they'll play in the high 70s. Easily, and be happy to do it, and they'll play that way. And if you look at Baylor, I know they play good defense, but Baylor's a team that if they get on a roll shooting it and they should get open looks, suddenly they're going to just have a barrage on you. And Baylor has 5 different guys who average in double digits. So there's a lot of ways and a lot of mouths to feed, and they could all eat in this game. So I think this game, which is under 140, could very easily be played with Baylor in the 80s and Colgate bumping their head on 70 with a spread total of right about where it's supposed to be, right around in that 15 range. I see this game going over. All right. Now let's go money line play, and I'll go first and get out of the way because I'm going to pick the game that you talked about, Tom. And I like James Madison to win the game. I like them to win the bleeping game against Wisconsin. Like, Wisconsin played well for 2 days. That does not erase 2 bad months of basketball. They were bad for a while. Let us not forget that. And they are built for James Madison, who's good. James Madison is good. They shoot the three. They run up and down. They will get after you. And Wisconsin is not looking for that. And if all of a sudden James Madison starts knocking down a few shots, you're going to see a pucker from Wisconsin. And I don't think they're any good to be able to come back from it. I mean, I think Wisconsin played a great 2 days, but they're not a great team. I will play on what I saw for 2 months and not 2 days, and I will take an underrated James Madison team. I will walk to the window. I think they win the game outright. Tom.
I'm going with Duquesne, and I got to give a hat tip to Zach. He made me look at this game further when he picked it on another show. And EK, I played it for you because I know you like trading places and you like to say it was the Dukes. It was the Dukes. So listen, I think this Duquesne defense matches up pretty well with BYU. They're athletic. They get out and guard. And as Zach has already pointed out, boy, the early game, you come out, you're shooting a bunch of threes. If they're not hitting, BYU's going to have trouble scoring. So I think Duquesne's not only live with the line, I think they could win this game outright.
Yeah, with BYU, I don't play on them and I don't play against them because, as you said, they're the most three-dependent team in the country. And if they're cold, they're going to get beat. But if they're hot, they may win this game by 20, and I don't like either side of it. But if I was going to play it, I get all that plus money. 365 is a nice payday to basically play one variable, which is BYU doesn't shoot the three well in this spot. Zach.
Yeah, I'm not going with a huge upset here, but I'm going to take Northwestern in that plus 120 range against Florida Atlantic. I'd argue Florida Atlantic shouldn't even be in the tournament. They had 8 losses this year, including a really bad one where they lost outright to Bryant. And even in American Conference play, they had a lot of sluggish performances that could have been losses that turned into victories against this Northwestern team. You're not going to get away with a bad stretch of 6 to 7 minutes of basketball. Northwestern's going to have that plan of attack. They're going to play aggressive, led by Boo Boo. And I just think it's going to come down to a couple of extra plays that I believe Northwestern is going to execute better, get after the 50-50 balls, and end what's been a disappointing season for this Florida Atlantic team that returned 8 players from last year's Final Four run. Give me Northwestern plus 120.
You know, it's interesting with FAU. They basically have decided to say, all right, we can flip the switch, right? We can flip the switch when the tournament comes. As you mentioned, everyone's back, basically. From a team that went to the Final Four. And they kind of sleptwalked a little bit this year. And they certainly got drilled in their conference tournament. And a lot of people think they're overseeded as an 8 or in that 8-9 matchup. And we're going to find out if you can flip the switch, because that is not what you traditionally are able to do with kids in a tournament, but we shall see. Well done, gentlemen. Appreciate everything. That is your best ATS, over-under, your total, and then your money line play. But we have it all. Best bracket advice. Everything you need to know. Download it right now. Go ahead, scan it. Download it. We got you covered. CBS Sports, nobody better when it comes to the tournament.